Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Graduating Without a Plan. Do you notice anything different about me? If you're watching this on YouTube, do you notice anything different? You're off the hook if you're listening on Spotify. I got bangs. Anyway, here's some public service announcements. One, if you are a seasonal flu, neurovirus, sniffles, enough! Okay? Stay away from me. I'm done. If you are a chef at an Italian restaurant, please put more than 5 raviolis on a plate. That's all I have to say about that. And if you're a parent considering sending your child to any type of sleepaway camp, they will come back without their virginity. Anyway, let's just dive in. So this winter has beaten me up, guys. So the last time you saw me, I had the sniffles. I had the flu. I was just getting over it. And I was this before or after I went skiing? Did I tell you guys about the traumatic skiing incident? Because I was feeling better and then I went skiing. I don't know how to ski at all, as I learned. I had went one other time, suffered the whole day. So this time I went for a ski lesson, was really confident. Then got stuck at the top of the mountain and cried. So I don't know if I'll go skiing again. But anyway, the point was that I was sick for over a week before I had filmed that last episode. And then I thought I was better, right? I filmed the episode. I went skiing. I went to the gym. The next day, came home and violently threw up for the next week, right? Because then I contracted the neurovirus, right? Because apparently that's going around too. And then that just took me out for like another 2 weeks, because even after I stopped yakking violently, because I viewed this as a cleanse, okay? I viewed this as a spiritual, emotional cleanse. Like, I was drinking coconut water and meditating and being like, God, like, use this as a way to cleanse my body. I was just trying not to have a panic attack, because you ever, you know, when you're throwing up and you actually get panicky, like some people really have trouble throwing up. I do not. I pull trig pretty often, actually. Like, as soon as I feel my stomach getting, like, rumbly, I'm like, let me just pull trig and get it out, right? Like, I'd rather that than suffer through the nose. Whatever. That's triggering to some people. I'm sorry if you're one of those people. But the point is, actually, what was the point? The point was that I've been sick for almost the entire month of January. And I'm not kidding about that. Like, people were thinking that I was ghosting them or I was just depressed, which I was. Why do you think I got bangs? I got bangs because I was depressed. Like, okay, so after you're sick for 3 weeks, you put on weight, your hair is a mess, your skin's a mess, like, you're brittle, right? Everything's brittle, your nose is dry. I went to the gym. The kid at the gym, he's like the sweetest kid. He works there. I told him, like, oh yeah, he's like, I haven't seen you. I'm like, yeah, because I'm sick. And he goes, oh yeah, I can tell. So, you want to talk about ruining I have a reputation to uphold at the gym, right? Of, like, everybody's gym crush. Like, I want to be everyone's gym crush. I am nobody's gym crush, because apparently I look very intimidating at the gym, according to my sister. My sister once told me that. She came to the gym with me. It was like, and I said, I don't know why no one flirts with me at the gym. Like, why does nobody approach me? Right? Like, let them approach me so I can reject them. Like, or whatever. And she's like, you look really scary at the gym. Like, you go hard, you're sweating, your hair is in a tight bun. If you want people to approach you, you should wear Lululemon, do one of those baseball hats with the ponytail at the back. I've just never been that girl. But anyway, the point was that destroyed my ego. So thank you, Philip, for that. But I did. I looked really sick. I just looked run down, and I was. I mean, and I have been. I still feel like almost my body is not fully recovered. I just am pushing through until the summer comes. One of my friends sent me a whole vitamin list. The vitamin C, the elderberry, the vitamin D. That I got it all. I'm not messing around anymore. But I'm back at the gym. I actually just got back at the gym now. And I really did myself up for you guys today. I dried my hair. I put perfume on, as if you guys can smell it. Because, that's what you start to do in the winter. When you start to, like, your confidence drops so hard that you start to do things like shave your legs, right? As a girl, I shave my legs in the summer, but let's be so for real. Unless you're in your dating era and you don't know, like, maybe this guy is gonna touch my right? Like, if you're in a relationship, if you just don't care, you're not shaving your legs in the winter. So, you know, like, your confidence is at an all-time low when you start shaving your legs because you're like, I just need something, right? You start wearing cute underwear that no one's gonna see because you're like, I need to know that there is still a bad bitch in here, even though no one else will, right? I'm starting to consider like using the tanning beds at Planet Fitness, even though my family has a significant history of skin cancer. I'm like, but would 1 or 2 rounds of it, would it really take me out? Like, could I just survive melanoma? Like, my dad had cancer like 5 times. Like, he survived every time, knock on wood, praise God. But I could too, right? Like, oh, you start getting desperate. You start really getting desperate. But anyway, other than that, so I hate the winter. I hate the winter. But I do love the seasons of the winter. Like, not the season. Blah, 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 blah. I hate the season of winter. I love the holidays of winter. So, like, Valentine's Day, I love. Like, and that's a controversial opinion. You know, some people really hate Valentine's Day because they're like, I'm single. I hate being single. I would argue to say that being single on Valentine's Day is actually better than being in a relationship. Because when you're in a relationship, you have expectations a little bit, right? Like, I don't put a lot of pressure, but I'm also like, get me flowers, right? Like, get me flowers. And if they don't, it's kind of like, okay, do you not love me? Like, you don't love. I had that whole talk with my dad last year because, you know, growing up, he used to, you know, get us little chocolate covered strawberries or whatever. And a couple years ago, he just decided he was done, right? Like, he was like, you should get a boyfriend, right? Get a boyfriend and do this. And I was like, yeah, but you're my daddy. Like, you're my baby. You're my daddy. I'm your baby. You know, like, I need that validation from my father, you know, because, again, like, my dad, he's such a character. Like, he won't come out and say, like, I love you, but, he'll, you know, shovel the driveway, and you'll be like, okay, Dad still loves us, right? He'll come home with chocolate-covered strawberries on Valentine's Day, and I'm like, oh, Dad does love me. Like, actually, I forgot. My father does, you know, which I think is a dad thing, but he stopped doing it. So, I think I'm actually gonna demand, flowers this year, or something, right? Something from my father, or I am moving out. Actually, I can't use that as a threat because he would like that. So, I am going to stop getting him knishes when I go to Stop and Shop. I said what I said, Tom. Watch out. So, anyway, what else? Wait, I made notes. I made notes for this episode because everybody's been telling me that I kind of go off on a tangent. Wait. What? Oh, you know what else is fun about Valentine's Day? The drama. I love drama. I miss drama. Like, I love, oh my gosh, like, I loved when I was younger, when I was a little kid, being like, what? Like, who's gonna give me a carnation at school? You know how they used to do that? Did you guys used to do that in school? Like, in middle school, you could buy a carnation for $1 and send it to somebody, or, you know, your parents would send you in with little cards and lollipops for people, and, like, the person you liked, maybe you'd write a special note on theirs. Like, everybody else has just got the generic, like, one, but you might add, like a special wish for that, you know? I never got a carnation. Part of that was because I wasn't in school for the last 4 years, but even before, I was really, like, I don't want to say ugly, but I think I was really ugly in high school. And I also think that I was different. I think people saw me as like the sporty girl because I played soccer, but they also, I think, thought I was a lesbian, like a full lesbian, because I used to wear gym shorts and a t-shirt and a sports bra that flattened out my boobs and a braided ponytail every single day. I mean, that's lesbian, right? That's like a young girl who can't figure it out, right? Is trying to understand why they don't like being girl. I was doing that because I had severe OCD and I had severe, like, sensory issues. Like, I just hated the feeling of jeans, like, on my legs, and I hated the feeling of my hair, like, down, like, so I used to do that because of OCD, but people thought, that I was, like, a full lesbian. And it's funny because years later, when I was in college, one of my friends, I was friends with him for months, and one day he kind of just casually said, like, you know, you're a lesbian, right? I was like, what made you think that? And he said, just the shape of your head. Now that threw me for a loop because I know what he meant. Because at this point in my life, I think I was dressing a little better. I dress pretty hipster now. Like, not hipster. That's such an old term. Oh my gosh, 2013. Who are we? I dress a little different because I enjoy tie-dye shirts. I enjoy, like, when I go to the store, I'm so dumb. I always go to the store trying to buy essentials, right? Buy, like, the white t-shirt and jean and denim jacket combo. That's, like, you need your essential pieces, and then you add the statement pieces, right? I go into the store for that, and then I end up leaving with, like, 5 statement pieces, right? Like, oh, there was a furry jacket. Oh, there was a, you know, like, a handmade like bedazzled belt thing. Like, I always end up buying those, so when I end up wearing nice, and those are clothes that you can't wear every day. Like, you can't show up to a college class. I mean, maybe you could if you were cool, which I'm not. If you like showing up to a college class in like a pink fur jacket, it just doesn't work. And I don't go out enough for it to be, or I don't anymore. I don't go out enough for it to be seen. So what people see me in is exactly what I'm wearing now. It's a t-shirt for anyone audio listening. Sorry, I hit the mic 3 times. Oh my gosh. See, this is what I'm saying. That wasn't in the notes. What else is in the notes? I don't know. I was just talking about the drama. I just miss having, like, the uncertainty of where my Valentines were coming from. And, you know, then you get really, like, crazy, right? Valentine's Day can bring out crazy in people because it's like, should I fake? Oh my God, I saw a meme about this. This guy was like, POV, trying to get my crush, thinking of ways to get my crush's attention, and he gets out, like, a hospital wristband and, like, posted it on his story, like, saying, caption it, pray for me. And I was like, wait, have we all had the intrusive thought to fake an accident, fake an ailment, an illness, so that, like, that one person that one ex would feel really guilty and hit you up? I know y'all have done it. I know y'all have thought it. I know we've all lied up at night being like, what if I died? Would he finally admit that he did love me after all? Like, brings out the best of you, really valid. But I also, okay. So hear me out. What else I love about this holiday is that my love language is gift giving and also verbal affirmation, I think, because my favorite thing to do is get little gifts for people that I love. And when I say love, I mean friends, mostly. Some of my family. Not many of them, but some, you know. We'll leave it there. But my friends, right? There's so many people in your life. Like, if you're about to wallow that you're single right now, there are so many people in your life that you love who don't even know that you love them. You don't have to say, oh, I love you. But, like, even just people, for example, the people at Planet Fitness. I love the front desk at Planet Fitness. I see them almost every day. They warm my heart, right? They warm my heart. So for Christmas, what did I do? I made a plate of Christmas cookies and I gave it to them. Now that's like my love language, right? I make cookies. If you're a friend of mine, you've probably received a cookie from me, either on Valentine's Day or on Christmas, because I don't really buy gifts that much anymore. I used to, but it's just, it just is so much money. I mean, talk about depression. You ever go to this grocery store nowadays and leave depressed? That happens to me a lot. I love grocery shopping too, right? I go to Uncle Giuseppe's for fun. Last Valentine's Day, that's actually what I did. I went to Uncle Giuseppe's and pretended that I was in a market in Italy. Because on The Bachelor, the show, they'll do like a market date in Italy, and they'll walk around, they'll get gelato, and they'll have like all these people waiting for them to do all these fun activities. That's what I did. I went on a Uncle Giuseppe's date and pretended I was at a market in Italy. Which, is niche, but if you've ever been to Uncle Giuseppe's, it's worth the go. It's just worth the go. And you can walk around, you can get your gelato, you can get your stuffed artichoke, there's a place to sit, sometimes there's a guy singing, whatever. If you're not from New York or New Jersey, you don't understand what Uncle Giuseppe's is, but you should Google it, because it's worth the trip. Anyway, I just want to show the people I love that I love them, and I feel like I just don't enough. And I'm always the party hoster. Like last year too, I hosted a Valentine's Day party. I'll never do it again. Keep in mind, I'll never do it again. It landed where Mardi Gras, which I've always wanted to go to in New Orleans. I would be very at Mardi Gras. Landed like the day before, the day after Valentine's Day. So I made it a party where it was like going to be a slumber party. So I was like, it's Mardi Gras. We party like it's Mardi Gras, and then if anybody wants to sleep over into Valentine's Day, I'll make Valentine's Day pancakes, and we'll have a great little morning, right? And I made everybody cookies. I made everybody Valentine's. I wrote something special about everybody, because I really do feel that way. And I was very excited for like a wholesome evening. And when I say wholesome, like, did I break out the wine? Yeah, right. Like, I mean, it's Mardi Gras, but I had like games all set up. I just figured it would be like a fun little afternoon. My friends got blackout. They took it as the opportunity, since they were sleeping over, to get blackout, and then all ended up hooking up in my home. And not just one, like several different people, not together. This wasn't that type of party. But like they all of a sudden were like peeling off and hooking up with each other, like in my bedroom. So I was like, okay, never again, right? Like I draw the line. Like, is this a frat house? Is this listen, I don't want to, steal anybody's fun, but this is not a frat house, right? So maybe I don't like Valentine's. I don't know. You know what I love, though? I've always wanted to have a party for Groundhog's Day. That just passed. It was yesterday. I always wanted to have a party for it, but I always forget, because how fun would it be to like live stream the groundhog being pulled out of the ground, and I don't know, make like themed cupcakes of like dirt cupcakes, or like just games that we could do bets on what the groundhog was gonna say. Like, that's fun. That would be. I love having special occasions. I love any reason to have a wine and cheese night. I love St. Patrick's Day. But can we talk about how St. Patrick's Day is racist? Can we talk about how St. Patrick's Day is racist? This is a hot take. So, these are things I think about a lot, but I just don't really verbalize. So, think about it like this. Let's really sit down. St. Patrick's Day is essentially a national drinking holiday, right? Everybody wears red beards, and those green hats. They fake an Irish accent. They get drunk. They drink beer, right? Cute, fun. But let's unpack. So, everybody knows the generational kind of struggles that Irish people have had historically with alcohol, right? I am Irish. I'm wearing an Italian shirt. I'm half Irish, half Italian, right? My last name is McB, okay? I'm qualified to say all this. Historically, everybody in this country has been fricked over by America at least once. They were all hated in America, including the Irish people. This is what I'm trying to get to. Irish people suffered. They suffered in their home country badly. They were literally starved to death. And the ones who survived came here, were hated, right? Nobody wanted them. Everybody hates Catholics. Still, to this day, actually. It's funny. It's funny, like, I go to church. Like, I go to all these different youth groups. And everybody will make, like, jokes about Catholics. They'll be like, oh, yeah, like, Catholics do this. I'm sitting here, like, Irish and Italian. Catholic on both sides. Okay. Catholics were always hated in this country. I didn't know that. But Irish people were hated. I mean, they were hated right up there with every other minority that you could think of that was historically hated. Right on the doors of businesses, it was like Irish not apply, like mixed not apply, right? So, I mean, what does that lead to? It leads to a lot of generational dysfunction. It leads to extreme poverty. My family, personally, on my dad's side, my great-grandfather, I don't really know what he did for a living, but I know that he was like a raging alcoholic, and was extremely, extremely poor. They lived somewhere they had come here from Ireland and were living somewhere in, I think, like Brooklyn. And yeah, raging alcoholic. My grandfather grew up on a dirt floor in like a shack. He ended up going and joining the Navy at like 17 years old, for money. And he actually volunteered to be in the submarines, which at the time the submarines were very small. They were not what they are now. But he volunteered to be in the submarines because they paid like an extra 5 cents a day or something like that. And he said that when he first went to military, like boot camp, the first thing he noticed when he got there was he could not believe how much food there was. Like, he went to the dining hall and was beside himself with how much food there was. So, like, this is the type of person we're dealing with. And my grandfather, like, I don't, whatever, not to spill everyone's tea, but, like, I think he struggled a little bit with alcohol. I know some other family members of mine did. Like, it was something that went down the line. And even myself, like, I'm pretty open about this, that I had my own kind of run-ins with what could be considered, like, an alcohol use issue when I was a bit younger. And to the point where, like, people, like, my dad had actually intervened because he sat me down and was like, you have to stop, and partially because it was a family issue, right? But also because I think, it's controversial whether or not, like, alcoholism is, like, genetic or whatever. I mean, for me, I know at that time in my life, I was just in a very, very dark place, but, I could have turned to a lot of different things. But for me, like, I remember and I still drink sometimes, but not nearly in the same way, which I think is the key. That I remember very explicitly and vividly drinking because I was unhappy, and I felt like there were things that were going on in my life that I could not talk about unless I was drunk. So it would be like I was holding all of this in all of the time, and then I would go to a party, I would drink, like, belligerently, and it didn't matter where. I used to organize a lot of these parties just so I had an excuse, but I would drink and then go up to a random girl in the bathroom and just talk, just tell her everything that I needed to say, which, I guess was therapeutic kind of, but it was problematic. And, I actually, after my dad kind of had that talk with me, because it struck me, because I always thought that he didn't know. Like, I thought I was really good at faking coming home, like, sober. I thought that I was good at kind of hiding it, like, I knew that he knew I was going out, but I didn't think he really knew, and obviously he did. But after he had that talk with me, I ended up going, and it was like very close to Lent, like, before Easter. So I ended up I said, fine, I'm going to give up drinking for Lent if it's such a problem, whatever. I'm not physically addicted or anything, thank God. But if he says that, fine, I'll give it up, whatever. And I realized by being, like, keeping myself to truly not drinking at all, how much I was. Because it wasn't always just at parties. It was at, it was just simple things like, okay, my friends were having a bonfire. We would be drinking White Claws. Oh, we were going to the beach. We'd be drinking. Oh, I'm going to an open mic. I'd be drinking. Oh, we're hanging out in my friend's basement. I'd be drinking. Like, I would realize I was drinking all the time, far past the point of, like, even after I had kind of worked through a lot of the issues that I was originally drinking. It had become a habit, is the point. Whatever. Okay, I'm sorry, I went off a tangent. Does anybody care? I don't think anybody cares about my problems, but the point is, this is like generational traumas right? For like Irish people. And I mean that really genuinely. And it stemmed out of a place of extreme poverty for most people. So with this being said, there's like a national drinking holiday exploiting Irish generational trauma. And nobody thinks about that. Like I get, as Irish people, we are proud of our beer, right? We love our Guinness. We're proud. But that's like, not to be whatever, but that's like let's have a Native American holiday where we all wear feathers in our hair and go to casinos. Or like, let's have a holiday celebrating Colombia where we all, do cocaine. Because, the drug, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be racist. That would be racist. But nobody talks about it, and nobody thinks about it like that. So that's like a hot take. But with all this being said, continue. I love St. Patrick's Day. I never want it to end. And I think people get a little sensitive about everything. It's just kind of like, all right, like, it is what it is. Like, just let's enjoy it. But I never understood why nobody saw it like that. Because that was always my first thought. I was like, this is kind of weird. Does this make sense? Whatever. Let me know in the comments or whatever if you think that's actually... If you've ever thought it, whatever. Anyway, have you guys noticed that I haven't been cursing this whole episode? You know why? 2 reasons. 1, apparently my grandfather listened to this podcast. Embarrassing. I wish he didn't. Just kidding. I love you, Grandpa, but whoa. And 2, my pastor's wife yelled at me. Christine, I love you. I love you. And I know she loves me. But man, she calls me out on everything. Which sometimes is like, man, like, leave me alone, bro. But at the same time, I know she's trying to help me. But I didn't know. Because she said, like, cursing is, stuff like cursing is not. And she was the second person to say it to me in 1 week, which is why I've been thinking about it a bit. But because I went to a youth group and they were talking about like cursing or like little sins that we let go, like that we tolerate, right? Because the idea is that smaller things lead to bigger things, right? So again, when I say sins, in my eyes, that means things that kind of keep you from God and keep you from pursuing a path with him and pursuing kind of the right things. And it's kind of like the idea, okay, well, it starts with you're really lenient about, I don't know, give an example of something like cursing. So then maybe you'd be more lenient with something like drinking and then over drinking. And then next thing you know, maybe you're lenient with, then, okay, I drink a lot, but so now I'll smoke a little bit and now I'll do some drugs. And then maybe when you're on those drugs, you're thinking, okay, now it's okay to maybe steal something. Like the idea is that you don't want things to kind of act as gateway sins, which again, I'm relatively new to really understanding the whole Christianity thing, and I understand that to someone who isn't necessarily on this wave, some of this stuff sounds so crazy. It sounds so kind of, I don't want to say stupid, but it's like, really? Like, do I care? But I'm really trying to make an effort because what I've seen in my life is, the more I do follow the practices and like teachings of Jesus, the better I have begun, the better I do overall, from what I've noticed in my life. So I'm trying to embrace it. So the whole thing with the cursing, it was funny because actually a girl had pulled up some Bible verses about it, and I pulled up one about it too. And it says, but now you must, from Colossians 3:8. But now you must put them all away, anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth. So, okay. But a bunch of other verses about cursing say stuff like, you must not curse your brother, you must not curse your whatever. And so for me, that's saying you don't want to talk badly about other people. not necessarily that the words themselves are so bad, but it's the intention, right? It's the, like there's like this, so this is where I'm wrestling. Like when I'm on here and I'm saying, oh, that's fucking funny. Like, I'm not talking badly about anybody. I'm actually complimenting you. Versus me last week saying to the lady who tried to, get over on me with some money, and I was like, fuck you. All right, so that's where I shouldn't be doing that. But is using cursing in jokes bad? If my intention is not bad? Or is it using it to actually be relatable and funny with a friend? Like, so I'll be honest, there have been times where I was in professional settings where I was very nervous, and someone like slipped in a curse word to their talk, and it actually made me feel more comfortable, because now I felt like we were on a more casual level and this person wasn't super serious and super intimidating, right? Like, you ever had a boss be like, oh, whatever, like, who gives a shit, just, you got it, like, just, this is fine, and you'd be like, oh, okay, right? All of a sudden you feel more comfortable. I don't know. So that's another thing that, does anybody comment on these? I see so many nice comments actually on here from people, some people I know and some people I don't, which is cool. But I don't know. I've been really trying to just lean in, I guess, to being, again, this terminology sounds crazy, but like more obedient to Christ. And when I say obedience, I don't mean I'm like following a man around, but I think this is actually really important with Christians. I think sometimes the terminology turns people away. I think the idea when people hear, especially women, I think when women hear, or men even hear, you must be obedient to Christ, it's kind of like, I'm not a dog. What do I gotta be obedient to, right? Or terms like, you have to surrender. Like, what the fuck am I surrendering? Like, you know what I mean? I think those terms can sound very extreme and very controlling, and I know for myself kind of made me hesitant. But I think when you and the same I've said with the word sin, like the word sin was always something that was very bad. It was like, you're a sinner, and you kind of get defensive and you say, I'm not a sinner, like, I'm a good person, right? But when you replace that terminology with more modern, I think, terminology, such as, instead of saying, you have to be obedient to Christ, be like, you have to be willing to learn and follow the teachings of Christ. Because to me, that sounds like, okay, I can do that. I get that. Or you have to surrender to Christ and instead say, you have to acknowledge him as the person you're going to follow and your savior, I guess. And surrender the things in your life that are not good for you and be willing to trade them in for things that are better for you. Another thing, I'm willing to do that, right? Like surrender your problems to him and allow him to give you peace. That, again, I think is terminology that people can understand and be more comfortable with, including myself. And that's why I have this terminology in my head, because I myself have sat down with it and said, what does this really mean? And what is this like religion really asking me to do? Because if it's worked so well for so many people throughout history, and granted it hasn't worked well for everybody, but I actually will take that back, because I think the people that followed it earnestly with good intentions, and they didn't follow it, like the people who read the Bible and took out of it positive life lessons and moral standards are very different from the people who read the Bible and took out of it means to manipulate, control, and degrade other individuals. Because if that's what you're getting from it, you're not correct. Like, that is not the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? The teachings of him are about love, and they're about kindness and generosity and the idea of coming together and working together. Like, it's just, I don't know. If you don't get the Bible, if you got bad things for the Bible, read it again, because you read it wrong. That was some of the best advice I ever got. If you're feeling shamed by the Bible, or you're feeling unhappy with the Bible, read it again, because it's not meant to do that. But anyway, with all that being said, do you see how I always come into these podcasts hot and I kind of like simmer it back at the end, and I start saying something philosophical, and I don't even know if anybody cares about my opinion. Let's see, do I have any other notes, or should I end this podcast? Oh God. Anyway, I guess I'll end it here. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is a good time, because I'll tell you, last week when everything came up, when I was about to do the podcast last time, I was like, nothing has happened this week except I got bangs. I need more to talk about, Oh, you know what else can we talk about? People have been saying my accent's really strong to me, which is kind of funny, because I'm like, we all have the same one, right? Theoretically, we all live here. But I guess mine's a little stronger, but than some, because of the people I was raised by. Like my grandparents who raised me were from Brooklyn, and it's funny because my grandfather, he was a cop, and he's a really smart, he's still alive, he's a really smart guy, like he's very smart, but when I think about it, he still says stuff like, I wouldn't say nothing about that, or my grandma, another smart lady, so it would say, you want some sauce, you want some coffee, and like, nah, like, no, like, I don't know how to explain it. My dad can't even say the R, like an R, like he's like he'll say, like, he'll be talking about my dog, and he'll be like, oh, like, be careful with her, like, he can't even say an R, But it got me thinking, and I was like, well, how do you even know what a real Long Island, New York accent is? People watch The Wolf of Wall Street, and they thought Margot Robbie did such a good job. Listen, I ain't got nothing wrong with Margot Robbie, but I hated how she did that. The whole iconic line, like, what am I, a fucking owl? What, who, whatever. You know what I hated about that? Everyone who tries to do a New York accent, they do a lot of this. It doesn't do that. Like, nobody goes, we don't go like, okay, can I break this down really quickly? So she would say something like, what did she say? What are you doing? What am I, a fucking owl? Right? The doing. Do you hear it? Like, it's more like, if I were to say it, I'd be like, what are you doing? Not, what am I doing? It's, what are you doing? Right? And I'm not going, oh, it's coffee. I'm saying, oh, it's coffee. It's just more, it's like when people try to do the Boston accent too, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to park the car. And it's not really like that. It's like, they're like, no, we're going to park the car. It's just more casual. It's not so dramatic. Does that make sense? That was a complete side note. I got to log off before I go crazy. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great Valentine's Day. No, I'll see you before Valentine's Day. I think next week I'm going to talk about Valentine's Day more. If you're one of my friends, you're not getting invited this year.